Drivers, keep on trucking. I'm Angela Roach.
And I'm Bowen, and this is Behind the Wheel powered by HireMaster. In this week's Get Hired segment, several carriers posted strong numbers in the first quarter of 2022. Many carriers are projecting solid operating ratios in Q2, even as freight softens due to global circumstances, including the escalating Russia-Ukraine conflict and the China lockdowns, which have stranded hundreds of cargo ships outside of multiple ports in China. Many carriers continue to report struggling to find quality drivers. One carrier in Kansas City has recently updated its facilities for drivers to have excellent amenities, and they noted they have 35 trucks without drivers. And the only hurdle to adding more trucks to their fleet is finding great drivers. With several top carriers increasing pay and benefits, now would be a good time to go to hiremaster.com to find your next opportunity.
Staying fit on the road can be a challenge for drivers who sit for long periods of time behind the wheel. As Candace Rivers of Fit's Possible reminded us last week, having a plan what you're going to eat is critical to maintaining good health out on the road. This week's tip of the week is all about staying connected with those closest to you. Make it a habit on the road to connect with the 5 most important people in your life at least once a week each week. Whether that's a phone call, a video call, a text message, or an email. At your next stop, take 5 to 10 minutes to send out a few text messages to loved ones or make a quick call. They'll appreciate it and you'll enjoy the benefits of staying connected while out on the road.
In the news this week, Congressman Andy Levine, a Michigan Democrat, has introduced legislation aimed at allowing truck drivers to receive overtime pay, something that is currently prohibited by the Fair Labor Standards Act through an overtime exemption. The legislation would repeal the exemption that passed in the 1930s that had the intention of limiting the number of hours drivers would have to work. However, carriers are paid by the load or by the mile have ended up working longer hours to maximize pay or accommodate customers' demands on their freight. The bill is designed to fairly compensate drivers for all of the hours they work, which leads to questions on how drivers are paid. Some carriers have moved to an hourly rate for their drivers, but many still pay by the mile or as a percentage of the load revenue. The bill is backed by at least one driver advocacy organization, but the jury is still out on the overall support of such legislation.
In this week's Weather Watch, weather conditions are becoming significantly less severe, which is a welcome sight for drivers across the country. Temperatures are beginning to rise to the 80s and lower 90s in much of the South, while those in the northern areas can still expect daytime highs in the 40 to 60 degree range, with a few days in the 70s. With those warming temperatures, expect to see high winds to continue in the southwest and in the lower regions of the Midwest. With wind speeds clocking in at up to 30 miles per hour in parts of Texas, we may also see fire hazard warnings in the southern Rockies due to higher temperatures and drier air. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of Behind the Wheel. I'm Angela Roach.
And I'm Bowen. Be sure to follow or subscribe to catch every episode and give us a like and a comment. We'll see you next time for Behind the Wheel, powered by HireMaster.